Namaskar, welcome you to this session 10 part 2 on climate risk resilience. In fact, it is in continuation with the last session focusing on climate risk resilience and understanding and assessment of risk for strategic planning. This session will deal with the mitigation and adaptation measures for building climate risk resilience. Climate risk resilience, it emphasizes addressing escalating risk posed by climate change through comprehensive strategies that reduce vulnerabilities and enhance adaptive capacity across ecosystem and human systems. It focuses on integrated efforts to slow global warming through mitigation, adjust to climate impacts through adaptation, and empower communities to withstand future climate hazards. Let us try to understand what climate risk resilience is. Climate risk resilience is referring to the ability to anticipate, prepare for and respond to climate related hazards like floods, droughts, cyclones and heat waves. This involves building societal, infrastructural and ecological systems that are capable of reducing vulnerabilities and adapting to impacts. What are the key goals of CRR? Number 1 is the minimizing risk, protecting communities, economies and ecosystems from climate impacts. Second is enhancing resilience, strengthen infrastructure and social system to withstand climate shock. And the third is promoting sustainability, fostering development that meets current needs without compromising future generations' ability to thrive. What are the key components of climate risk resilience? Number 1 is anticipation risk through data and early warning systems. Under this, establish climate modeling and forecast tools to predict hazards such cyclones and droughts. Implement real-time warning system to inform communities and authorities. Number 2, nature-based solutions use ecosystems like mangroves, wetlands and forests as natural barriers against floods, erosion and storms. For example, restoring wetlands to manage urban flooding and afforestation to combat soil erosion. And the third is community empowerment. It involves local population in resilience planning to ensure cultural and regional relevance. For that, conduct training programs to equip communities with skills and respond to emergencies and adopt sustainable practices. Fourth is development of climate resilient infrastructure. For that, invest in flood-proof roads, storm-resistant buildings and water-efficient irrigation systems, and focus on urban designs that mitigate heat island effects and improve drainage system. Next point to discuss is climate change mitigation. Under climate change mitigation, the focus is on mitigation on reducing the drivers of climate change by cutting down the greenhouse gas emissions and enhancing carbon sinks. The strategy for that are: number 1, renewable energy, shifting to solar, wind and hydropower to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Second is energy efficiency, upgrading technology in industries, transport and buildings to reduce energy consumption. And the third is enhancing carbon sinks, enhance manual systems like forest, wetlands to absorb carbon emitted already done by industries or other way. Let us discuss some of the examples of mitigational initiatives. Number 1 is Germany's Energy Window Initiative, a national policy aiming for 80% of renewable energy in energy mix by 2050. Such an ambitious plan by Germany that includes phasing out of the coal and nuclear energy, focusing on wind, solar and biomass. Let us have an Indian example. Jal Jeevan Haryali of Bihar initiatives targeting planting of 25 million trees to sequester carbon, restoring over 4 lakhs water bodies for climate adaptation, improving groundwater recharge for agriculture and drinking water needs. Now let us move to climate change adaptation. Its focus is on addressing the need to prepare for and reduce the risk posed by climate impacts such as extreme weather and resource scarcity. The key areas of adaptation are building resilient infrastructure, flood-proof structures and storm-resistant utilities. Under water management, rainwater harvesting system and efficient irrigation to address water scarcity. And for cities, climate smart cities, and for agriculture, climate smart agriculture practices to enhance productivity while adapting to changing climate conditions. Now developing climate resilient infrastructures. Global example is Netherlands Delta Works, a system of storm surge barriers, dikes and levees designed to protect the country from flooding, regarded as one of the most advanced flood management system in the world. Indian example, climate resilient agriculture programs in Andhra Pradesh focuses on building water conservation structures like farm ponds, promotes drought resistant crops and farmer training for better adaptation. Then next resilient infrastructure is water resource management, drought management strategies, rainwater harvesting, use of check dams and percolation tanks to store and recharge groundwater. Next is traditional water body restoration, reviving ponds, tanks, lakes for sustainable water use. Under the global examples, Australia's Murray-Darling Basin Plan, which balances environmental water allocation with agricultural and urban demands, that promotes efficient water usage and equitable distribution of the water. And under the Indian example, we can talk about Jal Shakti Abhiyan, a nationwide campaign by Government of India to promote water conservation and promote rainwater harvesting practices. Developing climate smart agriculture. This refers to practices that enhance agricultural productivity, strengthen resilience to climate impacts and reduce emissions. The key practices that we are following, number one is drought resistant crops, which develop crop variety capable of thriving in arid conditions. Number two is efficient irrigation system, use drip and sprinkler irrigation to optimize water usage. Examples are Sub-Saharan Africa's Climate Smart Alliance that promotes drought tolerant maize and sustainable farming methods. Another example is Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana supports micro irrigation systems and resilient crop technologies in India. Then how to develop a synergy between mitigation and adaptation. First effort is agroforestry. Through that we are creating the mitigation. Trees in agroforestry systems act as a carbon sink, absorbing CO2 and reducing greenhouse gases. How the same agroforestry acting as adaptation? Trees provide shade for crops, reduce soil erosion, conserve water and offer diversified income sources such as fruits, nuts and timbers, enhancing the farmer resilience to climate vulnerability. Second is the green infrastructure. Urban greening. Urban greening including parks, green roofs and vegetative corridors reduces urban heat islands by lowering ambient temperatures. Singapore City in Garden Initiative integrates greenery into urban spaces that improves stormwater management and enhancing water quality while air quality as well, and that creates habitats for better biodiversity. Next point to discuss is early warning system. Key component is the risk knowledge, identification of the hazard and mapping vulnerable areas using climate and socio-economic data. Second is monitoring, real-time data collection through satellites, automated weather stations and sensors to track evolving hazards. And third is dissemination, quick dissemination of alerts on SMS, social media, public broadcasts and community networks to ensure timely actions. And the fourth is the preparedness, conducting public awareness campaigns, drills to educate people on how to respond effectively in case of a warning or in case of actually a disaster occurred. Next point to discuss is climate smart infrastructures. The features of this is it is resilient to extreme weather conditions such as floods, cyclones and heat waves. Integration of renewable energy sources like solar panels and wind turbines to reduce reliance on the fossil fuels. Example, New York City's resilient projects implemented after Hurricane Sandy. This focuses on flood resilient buildings, energy efficient retrofittings and enhanced public transportation systems. Then second category is the flood resilient infrastructure. Let us discuss a global example. Bangladesh Coastal Embankment Project constructs embankments to protect vulnerable coastal areas from cyclones and tidal flooding, benefiting millions of the residents. And in Indian example, Bihar's Jal Jeevan Haryali initiative includes constructing check dams, restoring traditional ponds, and enhancing local water storage capacity to mitigate flood impacts and support agriculture. Most resilient urban design. The strategy for this is number one, the cool roofs. Use reflective materials to reduce the heat absorption, lowering indoor temperature and energy used for cooling. Number two is urban greenery. Planting trees, creating urban forests and incorporating green walls provide natural shading and cooling. Example is Los Angeles Cool Pavement Initiative uses reflective road coatings to reduce surface temperature by about 10 degrees centigrade. And in Indian example, Ahmedabad Heat Action Plan incorporates early warning system, public awareness campaigns and cool roof technologies to protect residents during summer. Next point to discuss is achievement of climate smart initiatives. Under this category, first one is disaster loss reduction. Investment in resilient infrastructure have significantly reduced the economic loss. Example, flood resilient housing and embankments in Bangladesh have minimized cyclone related damages by about 40% in the vulnerable area. And the economic benefits? Studies show a $4 return for every $1 investment in resilience projects that reflect their high cost effectiveness. Resilient infrastructure further reduces long term recovery costs and supports economic stability of the system. Environmental impact. Renewable energy initiatives have prevented millions of tons of carbon dioxide emissions globally. For example, India's solar mission reduced emission by over 200 million tons in 2022 alone. And second point to discuss, building resilient communities. The focus area for this is number one is the local participation, empowering communities to actively engage in planning and decision making, ensure culturally relevant and sustainable initiatives. Integration of traditional knowledge, combining indigenous practices such as water conservation with modern technologies enhances effectiveness of resilience building efforts. And again the same example, Jal Jeevan Haryali of Bihar. Then comes Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement supports developing nations by funding climate adaptation projects, ensuring equitable climate actions. Various challenges in resilient building. Let us discuss this. There are several barriers. Number one is insufficient funding. Many developing countries face challenges to mobilize resources for large scale resilience projects, limiting their scope and impact. Second is technical expertise. Limited technical expertise and the access to that hinders effective implementation. The third is intersectoral collaboration. Addressing complex climate risks requires coordination across sectors like agriculture, water, energy, which is often lacking. Then there is a need of global cooperation. Role of international agreements. Paris agreements unites countries in mitigating emissions and adapting to climate impacts through nationally determined contributions (NDCs). Sendai framework focus on disaster risk reduction by emphasizing on preparedness, response and resilience building. There are certain regional cooperations which is helping. BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation. It promises disaster management cooperation among South Asian countries, fostering regional alliance to cyclones, floods and droughts. Then there are certain future directions for us. Number one is scaling up. Expand the reach of successful climate smart practices such as India's renewable energy programs and Bangladesh flood resistant housing to more regions. Number 2 is the technology transfer. Facilitate access to advanced technologies including early warning system, AI driven climate models, tools particularly for the developing countries. And the third is public private partnership. This leverage collaborations between governments, industries and financial institutions to fund innovation and implement large scale resilience projects. Now with this I want to close my discussion, but with the closing discussion I like to have some message for you. Building climate resilience is essential for securing a sustainable and equitable future for all. It safeguards livelihoods, ecosystems and economies against escalating climate risk. And second message is what we need to do. We need to act now by fostering collaboration, prompting innovation, scaling up effective solutions, and together we can combat climate challenges and create a resilient global community. With this I am closing this session, expressing my thanks to you all for joining the session. Next session will focus on international framework on disaster risk reduction and management. Thank you very much. Namaskar.